Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. You know, from a guy who was born in 1975 and grew up in the 80s and 90s, I can attest to the fact that back then it was really hard to make a change, to make a difference in the world. You know, we did act locally and think globally, but only today can we actually organize such a wide variety of movements and actually have an impact to an extent that people care. And you know, like what is it, Cayenne? I'm sorry, I don't know the pronunciation. And Joy put a video up of No More War, and I forgot they were the original ones who started this, but it got through my group of friends and subs and some of the people I sub to, and I decided to make my own video, anti-war. And I thought, you know, when she found my video and said, hey, you know, I'm glad you're part of it, I forgot it was even her. Now this is how things happen, is that one person says, let's do this, let's stand up for it. And when people feel strongly about it, people do. And this is why a lot of movements today don't gain any real footholds, because people don't care or don't buy into it. Some of the smaller ones. Now let me take an example without trying to cause any conflict here. I wanted to use chemtrails as an example. You know, a lot of folks say, why aren't more people interested in this? Why aren't more people looking up and seeing what's happening? Well, it's not because people are unaware. It's because people have looked into it and found that for a majority of it, it's a lot of fear. Just a lot of fear-mongering. And there's a lot of science behind it to show that it's not always so menacing as we think. But people are still unsure, so they don't want to step up. And what happens with the war is people are sure. They know. Because through experience and history, we know what war has brought us. Nothing to the average person. You know, maybe if going to a war in Iraq brought oil prices down to $1, you know, a gallon for gas, then maybe Americans would say, oh, okay, so this was valid, you know, or a reason. Of course, that's completely invalid reason. It should never have anything to do with commodity prices, but it does. But the fact is that oil prices went up. And we know now that we are all entwined in this big scam. You can call it the cabal, you can call it the Illuminati, call it whatever you want. But you know, in the years past, people would often cover their faces when they talked anti-government or anti-system. But I see no need for that. You know, I would stick my neck out and speak my mind anytime, because you get to a point in your life where you want to be recognized as someone who cares, and not just as another number, and not for the person you are, but for the fact that you're a human, you live on this planet, and you have the right to make decisions that better your environment. And so, you know, I had a lot of concerns back in the 90s when I was growing up, and in my teens and into my 20s. You know, I was very anti-establishment. I made my own homemade anti-George Bush t-shirts, you know, where I'd cross out his face, no more Bush shit, and bought stickers and had stuff on my car. And they had the t-shirts I made, you know, were with the crappy old inkjet printers, and I had to go out and buy the little stick-on labels and iron them on and everything. And point being that I had a dedication to the strength of our world, that I wanted to get past some of these things, and I felt angry, but I didn't know how to do anything about it. And at that time, the internet was in its infancy. You know, I still had dial-up back then, 98, I think. And it was very slow going, you know. You spend all day to download a song, or a week to download a movie. Trying to blog or to use something like YouTube was just non-existent. But now we can organize this, and I gotta say, there's a lot of talk about people's opinions being pushed away, or people's accounts being closed, or them being censored. A lot of folks that say that their accounts are being tampered with because of the things they talk about. I'm not going to say that's true or not true, but I can say that I've seen lots of people have issues with their account, and it's not always what. For example, I've had people say, "Hey, my view count on my videos is wrong because of what I'm talking about," and they're trying to, you know, keep the truth hidden. That there's actually someone pushing buttons on YouTube, you know. that are censoring people's opinions when they're speaking out against the powers that be. I'm not here to dispute whether that's true or not. My only point is to completely ignore it and move forward. Keep doing what we're doing. Keep making a difference, because if the media was completely under control, half the things that got out would never get out. So, as though we might feel like everything we see is being manipulated, that every newscast is completely biased because they're under control of the elite. Well, to an extent that's true. CNN has been showed, even a CNN executive who quit or was fired like last year said, yeah, they were paid not to run some stories and paid to run some other stories by the government. That's how it works. That's how the system works. It's propaganda. And this is a tool that's been used for a long time. It's just that in each one of our lives, we only see a certain amount of it. We can't know what our parents went through, because back then, that was a different time with different information. The world's been lied to for a long time. But the truth's out. As the information flows, it's constantly taken up and absorbed and released. So with this, I draw the conclusion that we have a lot of conversations online about the secrets or the hidden, which that is just the occult. Occult just means hidden. It's hidden knowledge. So the occult knowledge is the knowledge that's been suppressed, supposedly, from the people. So I've gone back and forth on this, whether or not this knowledge is detrimental for the average man to have, or whether or not it's being hidden for greed purposes. And I honestly think it's somewhere in between. I'm not one of those guys who's out there against Freemasonry or against the secret societies because they have knowledge that we don't have and they won't share it. Because after digging deeper and deeper, I find that the reason why these started were because, let's take the Freemasons for example. They were persecuted by the religions of the time. The Christianity sect would completely hunt down these people for their occult knowledge, or for even claiming that man had power over his own will. So on one hand, we'll have a person saying, it's all about your self-power, self-empowerment, and knowing that you have the power to change things and to manifest your destiny and to have intent. But then on the other hand, they're bashing all of the occult knowledge. So that's what occult knowledge is. And the reason why the Christian sect was so opposed to it is because they wanted to find their God within Jesus. That's how they do it. So this information went hidden. And now it's no longer hidden. And that's the thing I guess that I really wanted to get across, was that this occult knowledge is no longer occult. It is exposed. It is out there. And I think a lot of folks have this idea that there are still a few hidden things. A few hidden, master methods to becoming completely enlightened. But I think that everything that a person could want to know is available right now at your fingertips on the internet. Almost everything. Except the deepest, darkest parts of some of the most hidden books. But, when people come across knowledge, old books and texts, some of these books were worth thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands, because they hadn't been printed in so long. Nowadays, you just put it on the scanner, throw it on the internet. I've downloaded an entire collection of ancient Buddhist and Hindu scripts, things that have been out of circulation for centuries, and it's because someone took the time to put it online. So if a person wants to dig, they'll find what they're looking for, but there's a lot to go through. And I don't know if I'm mistaken here, but I think some people have the impression that there's this one secret thing they need to know in order to finally know the truth. But the fact is, we can look around at even some of the most, some of the wisest people, or some of the top people, and see that whatever they know, it's obviously not enough, because they're still in conflict, they're still lying, they're still corrupt, they're still doing things that go against the natural law. So the knowledge is there, we share it, and we do the best we can. And I think that we're getting a little overwhelmed, because as these little truths slip out, they're masked by, so many lies, misconceptions, exaggerations, and just plain stupidity and ignorance. And we're plagued by it. I mean, that's what we do. We're humans. We really want to know. And we want to know so bad that sometimes we have to tell other people they're wrong in order to make ourselves think that we're right. And so I guess that's all I got. I just wanted to say that the knowledge is there, the information's there. Everything we need is right here. It's just a matter of organizing it, It's like somebody dumped all the Legos out on the living room floor at once. And gradually we pick the pieces up and put something together out of it. It's going to take time. The internet's young, we're young, and we have a long way to go. And hopefully there isn't some major CME impact that causes the grid to go down and we lose the internet, because honestly I can say that the internet right now is our saving grace. 10 years ago I said it was probably the destruction of mankind, but I can't talk with like-minded people in my town every day like I do online. I'm learning from you people, and I'm hoping I can provide something at least that other people can learn from to help them. And that's really the only point here. I've made like 700 videos now. Sometimes I think, what a waste of time. Why did I do this? But when I get one person who says thank you for that video, it's enough for me. That's all it takes. I've almost closed my channel a few times, and then somebody said something that really inspired me, or filled in a blank for me, because that's the one beauty is that, and this is something I've noticed on a lot of YouTube channels, and this is something I hope we can get past, is that a person has drawn a lot of conclusions about why the things are the way they are. They've spent a lot of time researching it. They've put a lot of time into their channel, into their graphics, which to me is just propaganda. I don't see any need for fancy graphics. I mean, you don't need to suck people in with dun 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 music and explosions and fast-paced background pictures. That's what the movie industry does. We need to draw people in with information, and not everybody can speak information or speak from their hearts, so they utilize that as a platform, which is all fine, except for then you make a comment saying, hey, this may not be quite the way it is. And they either block you, they insult you, they cuss at you. There have been a few people in the past. I just completely separate myself from those folks. There's one guy that's got a website where a page where he draws numerical connections between basically everything, and I respect that, because numerology is interesting. But if you question it, he starts cussing at you and calling you a dumbass in capital letters, and you think, this person seems very intelligent, but they can't handle a disagreement. They can't handle a discussion. And this is what we have to get past, because we're not right. No one of us has all the right answers. I have yet to meet a person who can really provide me with a full plate of, here's life, here's what life's about. There's always they have all this information that can help me, and then one thing that I just don't understand, like, how can you still do this or still do that? But I'm just a person, just another one. I'm just one of you guys, and still fascinated every day when I wake up and realize that I'm alive. I don't know if I'm really a soul being. I don't know if I'm really a reincarnation or God's child or even just an illusion. I think that we look too deep into things and we're missing sometimes the big point, but that's how we learn, right? I don't think there's any amount of thinking that goes too far, as long as it eventually results in a discovery. And sometimes philosophy takes a lifetime. It can take years to finally get to figure one thing out. And I change with the times constantly. I discover something about the way I was and think that wasn't right. And that's the solution. The solution is to be able to admit when you're wrong, and to not have to defend yourself, because none of us have all the answers. And we can all piece it together if we just listen to each other and stop fighting amongst ourselves over trivial details that we can't even prove. A good example is, I posted a video the other day about called Chemtrails, Where's the Evidence? And I had a guy make a comment, and the comment said, You seem like a reasonably intelligent person. Therefore, I'm going to assume you're just a paid shill. And I thought, wow. I thought he was totally joking, because in the video I mentioned that people have called me a shill before. So I said either you're joking or you're just completely ignorant to what I was saying. So I went to his channel and looked, and there was a previous comment on a video he'd watched just before that about chemtrails where he called the other person a shill too. So I thought, here's two people speaking their hearts about, and trying to ask for answers. I was completely valid in my response. I said that, or in my video, I said that I don't know for sure. I don't have all the answers, but this is what I've observed. This is what I've learned. And I've looked at all the websites, aircraft.org and all the other different ones, and it's always skewed information. So rather than provide information as I asked for in the video, the person just calls me a shill. Now this has got to stop. These are the things that, that just make me shake my head. Okay, so yeah, I created a channel. I made 700 videos or something in the last year, speaking from my heart all the time, just so I could make one video about chemtrails, because I got paid to do it. I mean, that's common sense. It's just out the window on comments like that. So that's pretty much the root of the conflict in this world, is that if a person doesn't agree with what you're saying, rather than have a rational discussion, they just accuse you of something. You're either stupid, you're a shill, or you believe in the wrong God, or you believe in a God in general, or you don't believe in God. And, as a person who can have conversations with atheists and with Christians, I gotta say that, there are sides to each person that is completely valid and useful for another if they're willing to look past. People can't even look past the color of somebody's skin. How are we going to look past religion, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of people. It's like a circus, but a very orderly circus. So don't be afraid to show your face and speak your mind, I guess was my whole point. If you have something to say and you have the ability to say it, please grab a camera, make a video, and speak yourself to the world. Because when I started doing this, I was under the impression that this would be just one more video among many others about the same subject. But then I'll start looking for a video. Like, for example, I've made videos about some things, certain facets of philosophy or whatever, and then I want to learn more about it. So I'll actually go on YouTube and I'll put it in the search engine there. And then the only one I come up with is my own video. So it's like, obviously there are many subjects that are not being tackled in certain corners. And the ones that are seem to always be drawing conclusions. So we need to stop drawing conclusions and start drawing our future. And that's it. I can't even say the word love anymore because it's so cliche, but love.